And I want to go through that. We'll take a break. I'll come back and we'll start with level 1 of CPI and we'll go through it. And then once everybody's competent, we'll come back through CPI, adding the next level. We'll come back, adding the next level, and come back, add the next level. So you get ridiculous amounts of rehearsal on the CPI process. I want you to really overlearn this and have as much fun with it as humanly possible. You've got to be willing to be larger than life. You must go to your extremes so you can find your happy place. Okay? So, starting with Seth. What do you want to learn this weekend?
Everything.
Of course. Allegra, what do you want?
I'll have what she's having.
You'll have what she's having, okay. Allegra, what Seth said. Holly,
Probably just.
what Seth said, okay. Paul, oh, you had something? Go ahead, Holly.
No, that's good.
Go ahead, come on.
Come on, I
I
know
was
what
just
it
saying
is.
introductory stuff, but
Introductory stuff, define introductory stuff for me.
if I could do that, I wouldn't need it.
If you can't define it, you can't achieve it. Know your outcome. What do you want to be able to do?
To be able to function in society.
Be able to walk up to anybody? That's Allegra's. What are your words?
Wait, that's good enough. Be able to walk up to anybody.
Okay, be able to walk up to anybody. What's stopping you now?
I don't know.
Okay.
If I knew that, I wouldn't need it.
We're going to cover approaches and walk-ups and things of that nature. But we also need to understand both sides of that equation. By the way, most pickups are initiated by women. What? Every guy has what? Yes. You just never see it coming because you're a man. It will sound like I'm bagging on men. Trust me, ladies, I will bag on you, but I won't do it any more politically correct. No, I won't. Fuck, who am I kidding? I'm going to call you on your bullshit. First rule, call people on their bullshit. If somebody asks you to do something, says something that doesn't sit with you, call them on it. Call them on it, right? How you call them on it is what makes or breaks you in terms of the direction you go, but call them on it. Because one of the things we got to have coming into this is a strong set of boundaries. What we will accept and what we will not. And part of this job is getting people to fudge on their boundaries. Men do it to women, women do it to men, a lot. Okay? You all manipulate each other, just fucking get over it. Okay? Question is it leaving people better off or not? Right? And that's kind of where we kind of draw the line between influence and persuasion versus manipulation. Are you leading that person into a relationship that's not going to work out for them, that's not going to leave them in a better place for having interacted with you? Right? If the answer to that is yes, eject. Okay? This is where a lot of our scarring comes from. Okay? All right, Paul, what do you want to learn?
See how long we could keep going with what Seth said, but no, let's not do that.
Please don't feed the Seth.
I'd like to focus on follow-through.
Follow-through.
And maintaining the connection that was established.
Maintaining connection that was established. Can you give me some parameters? Or
I find the initial contact, the initial interaction very easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's then things either don't last or they peter out.
They peter out. Okay. Sounds like you're missing cues, or you just aren't reading. You're feeling a connection, but you're not asking them to take the next step. There's no call to action, right? Okay. CTA. I'm sorry, my OneNote is jumping all over the place here. You're going to find most of your sticking points for any of you will come down to sensory acuity and calibration. You're just not reading what's going on. Because think about it like this. If you could look at a person and know with 80, 90, even up to 100% certainty that they were interested in you and that they'd be willing to hang out and go further, how nervous would you be about asking them? People are telling you this shit all the time. You're just not seeing it. Everybody in this room is hot, even if you don't think so. Okay? But what you have is an attraction recognition strategy that's not serving you. That's it. You're not recognizing the people who are attracted to you, or you're attracting the wrong kind of people, and not seeing the ones that are other ones that are available. Right? We talked about this in Hidden Laws of Attraction and Manifestation Mastery. That lucky people have different perceptual filters than unlucky people. Those filters are determined by the subconscious templates locked in the unconscious. The minute you change the template, you change what you sort for. Right? So there will be a huge amount of trance work and alchemical work that's going on in these 4 days. In fact, if you've been through Identity by Design, guess what? You're about to get a hell of a review. Because everything about that process was designed for this application. It just so happened that the processes were so powerful, it generalized to everything, so we took it into the therapy world. But it didn't start there. It started as an inner game training for aspiring pickup artists. To give people the chutzpah to approach and create connections and relationships and things like that. But the scope was so powerful, we just said, this is too big for just one application. It's transformational on every level, right? And we just kept discovering more and more depth to the process. But most of the cool stuff I do started as seduction technique or attraction techniques, because that was my focus for many years. I first made a name for myself in 2005. I was named one of the top 5 attraction experts of the year by Art of Approaching and SeductionLayer.com. I did it not because I could rack up women like McDonald's sells hamburgers. That was kind of presupposed. It was because of my expertise in sensuality and relationship training. I could get people to absolutely fall in love, feel completely fulfilled, satisfied on every level, to the point where they washed my car, they bought my food, they took me to the movies, they took me to dinner, they paid for my vacations, they paid for my school. Write this down, gentlemen. Write this down, gentlemen. Write this down, gentlemen. Ladies, you might want to write this down too. A happy, satisfied, truly fulfilled woman will walk through fire, will put up with any bullshit for the sake of preserving that fulfillment. Now, the caveat. Finding a truly happy, satisfied, and fulfilled woman is only slightly harder than finding Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. This is why women go outside of primary relationships. Okay? And we'll talk about the pathogenesis of what Mark Cunningham used to call pathological trance states that are societally induced. In other words, society is programming you from the time you're in the womb all the way up to the time you leave this plane about what you should want, about what kind of identity you should have at what moment. And it's so pervasive, just like the fish that doesn't know it's wet. You're inundated with these things all the time. Many of them fly against your biology. And you wonder why when you do what society said would make you happy, it makes you fucking miserable, or disillusioned, or burned out really quick. It's because society and biology and evolution are different. So you're never going to go wrong reverting back to reptilian primal archetypes. Period. Now the way you go about satisfying those drives will change as society's norms change, as cultural tolerances change. But human beings don't. So start with what always works. It's worked for tens of thousands of years, probably won't change in the next 100 years. Right? If it changes in the next 100 years, still not your problem. For the most part, unless you're doing kind of weird biohacking or genetic manipulation or something like that. Right? You start taking stem cells rectally and start regenerating all of your organs, or you get a 200-year lifespan, maybe shit might evolve. But probably not, because the neurology simply doesn't change that fast in terms of what's the oldest programs that we have. That being said, we are going to talk about the oldest language that we have, which is a language of feelings, the language of gesture, the language of proxemics. These are all transparent languages. They're hidden in plain sight. But remember, they predate spoken language. And when we're talking about the nervous system, the older it is, the more powerful it is. Understand that? The older it is, the more powerful it is. Which has more power, your mammalian brain or your reptile brain? Why? Because without the reptile brain, you never would have gotten to be a mammal in the first place. Right? So we start at the reptile level and we work our way up. We talk about these primal things that both the reptile brain is sorting for, how it relates to the mammalian brain, and then we make specific modifications based on male or female. And then we can using our neocortex, we can wrap any rationalization around that shit that we want. Because as far as the neocortex, which is the 2-year-old of the human nervous system, cares, it's just a fucking belief system to make it what you're doing okay to you. Right? It doesn't have to be true. In fact, 99% of the time it isn't fucking true. Right? But it does make what you're doing socially acceptable to yourself, and ultimately it gives you plausible deniability to the social primates around you who are going to judge your behaviors. Okay? So we have to challenge who we are, what we want, what we believe we can have, what society says we could have or should have or want, and decide where's our happy place. Who do we want to be? And how strongly do we want to be it? Are we willing to become the person who deserves to have those things, even if it flies in the face of everything you were brought up believing? It's not easy. It's very simple, but it's not easy, right? It's not always easy. Mostly because we blow shit way out of proportion, but we'll cover that too. Nadine, what do you want to learn?
I guess advanced rapport skills.
Advanced rapport skills. That's called sex.
Yes. I can agree to that.
You know, who am I to argue with a lady? Advanced rapport skills. Okay. Cool. Robert. Not exactly your tone, but still very sharp. I like it. It will attract attention, which is the first part. You gotta be willing to attract attention. If you're not willing to attract attention, you might as well fucking go home.
Color 20 style would be a good start. And
maybe I'd be interested in like a vibrational aspect to the class, a bit more about energy, cleaning up your own energy, setting it up for attraction, and perhaps you can be able to see and feel energy when you walk in the rooms, figure out, feel where the best prospects are.
Okay. Reading the room. Cool. Bevan.
Robert, I like mine, just a little more focus on the languaging part.
A little focus on the languaging? Okay. Siri.
Sorting, so I'm using my phone.
Okay. Bernie.
I like reading a room and just, I don't know, maybe using it for dating application, but also with clients and, prospective people that you may be working with if you're doing therapy and that kind of stuff with people.
Okay. Matthew.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to enjoy listening to somebody and what they have to say as much as I enjoy talking about myself. There's a magic to it.
That will probably never happen because we're inherently selfish beings. But if we become interested in what other people are saying because of what it'll do for us, now you're merging the best of both worlds. Right?
We learn to pretend at least.
Well, it starts with pretending. Okay? You guys know I'm a devout hermit. I am closet. I only play an extrovert on television. Right?